What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of FoxFishing. I think that's what I'm going to stick with. I'm not 100% sure, so if anybody has any other ideas that they want to toss my way, definitely do that or leave a comment. But for right now, I think I'm going to go with FoxFishing. That being said, I'm very excited to get started on this. I know I've said that a couple times before, but I am, and I'm excited for everybody that wants to kind of follow along with this. My name is Sean Fox. I've been fishing for, I don't know, over 15 some odd years, longer than, well, I'm almost 30, I'm old. So yeah, I've been fishing for maybe like 20 years, on and off, but definitely taking it more seriously over the last few years. And yeah, I'm just excited to document this journey and this development and be able to have something to look back on. But for now, being that this is my first video and I don't expect the world out of it, I am going to be filming on my phone for right now, just because that's what's easiest. But I did just grab a GoPro that I will be using on the water, so I'm excited about that. I'm just out here by the tin rig, old Betsy, looking at some ideas for putting in a rear deck for my dad, because he needs something a little bit wider to stand on. And I'm also looking at getting a new trolling motor here soon, because the autopilot on it is out and causes us to just go in circles. So let's go into the fishing dungeon, and we're just going to talk about some new baits and rods and reels and line and things like that I got over Christmas, and a new opportunity with a new bait company that I think is really awesome, has a really cool design behind it that I think you guys are going to like. That being said, let's go in there and get this thing started. So here we are. We're in the fishing dungeon. Like I said, I had a couple different random things that I wanted to go over, being that this is the first video. First, I will say that I grabbed a GoPro, a Hero 4. It's pretty old, but I have heard great things about the audio being better on these, so that's what kind of led me into deciding to grab this guy. And it was cheap, so that definitely was a big consideration too. But you don't need much to get started. I just wanted really the quickest way to get cracking on filming some fishing. So I thought this would be the best route, and it came with a chesty, came with a memory card, bunch of batteries, charger. It was like $70, $75. So that being said, I had described in a couple other live videos and things like that this isn't going to be like a, I guess, a super serious YouTube channel, in the sense that I don't want to put too much pressure on myself in the midst of fishing to have to make YouTube my top priority. But along with that, I do want to document tournaments. If I get new lures and new cool things in that I want to go over and share with you guys, then I want to do that, which is going to be a big part of what I'm doing today. But I just wanted to kind of set that premise and say that, I've, in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, watched a lot of YouTubers and a lot of, particularly fishing. And it just, I want it to be kind of a complement to fishing, not necessarily YouTube first, then fishing behind. So I think that's going to keep it kind of more organic. Not that the other ways of doing it aren't, but just for me, I don't want to put a lot of social media pressure on it. That being said, let's start diving into talking about a couple of lures. I got a new rod and reel I want to go over, and a couple other baits. Alright, so the first bait that we're going to be talking about is the Strike King Chick Magnet. It goes like 3 to 5 feet. This bait just came out recently, so I wanted to pick one of these up when I saw them at my local shop. It's got a circuit board bill, which is way more durable than like your standard plastic bills. So it's also got a rattle in it. It's not super loud, but that's kind of what you want in a flat side crankbait, something a little more subtle usually. And They come in a lot of cool different patterns, but like I said, I just wanted to pick one up just so I could try it, because I already have kind of a lot of flat sides at least, versus, so if you have like, this is the Otts Garage Rapala, this one's silent. So I thought it'd be a neat little addition so I can try it out this spring. I like throwing flat sides for anything, really, like it's typically associated as a cooler water bait, but I find that even in summer, late summer, pre-spawn, post-spawn, it can work all throughout the year, just because as the water gets warmer, you'll find that people tend to throw, you know, wider, wobbled, like standard square bills. The only thing I'll say is that flat sides crankbaits don't typically come through things like wood quite as well. They're more meant for like riprap stuff that that bill, as it's going across the bottom, it's not going to have much for that hook point to dig into. So I picked up one of those. And another crankbait that I picked up that I do have some experience with is going to be the Megabass Sonic side. I love this crankbait. This one's silent, and I just wanted to grab another color, but now the difference is this one's $20, this one's $10. So it's definitely a bit more of an investment, but I just have a lot of confidence with Megabass stuff. A lot of people that already know me know that I just love Megabass gear. So I picked one of those up, and I've done well with some of the other colors that I've had, so I wanted to take advantage of a couple that same shop had in stock. So next, we're going to be talking about frogs. I love throwing frogs. So a frog that I just picked up is this Jackal Kyera. I really love the finish and the paint on this. Now, typically what you want, really, because fish see the bottom, is the bottom. Or if it's sitting in the water, kind of horizontally, that back part of that paint is what's going to be showing. This thing looks awesome. Now, if you compare it to like your standard Spro bronze-eye frog, it's also much smaller. So, as you can see there. So I feel like this will be good for like those heavier pressure situations. Usually you want to downsize, as well as post-spawn, during the spawn. This seems like the perfect bite-sized snack to me. So I wanted to pick one of those up because I love throwing frogs pretty much from spring all the way through fall. They can produce. Next, so we are talking about Megabass lures. Typically I usually throw a Vision 110. I think that's what a lot of people throw. If anybody tends to spend more on your average bait, it usually seems to be on the Megabass Vision 110s. But that being said, I want to start kind of branching out and trying something else, so I picked up this guy. This is the Jackal Re-Range 110. So it's the same size as a Megabass Vision 110, but from what I've seen, it doesn't have quite as aggressive of a side-to-side motion. This one's also a medium runner. This one goes to about 8 feet on 10 to 12 pound line, versus your standard 110s go down to about 5 feet. Of course, you can get a 110 plus 1 that'll hit the same range as this, but this also sounds a little bit different. It has more of a tinny rattle to it, versus a Vision 110 has a hard thump to it. And I just saw this in this finish, and that's in that shop that I went to. It's called Fisherman Central. They have tons of stuff, so I definitely recommend checking them out. But yeah, I just wanted to pick up one of these and try something new, and especially for this spring, a lot of people throw jerk baits in the early spring, so it's just a way to switch it up. All right, so now we're going to talk about swim baits. One of my favorite things to throw, and usually can produce swim baits have produced my biggest bag ever, which isn't a ton, but it's still almost 19 pounds for my best 5 fish. I would definitely call that a great day. So typically, you're going to be if you're gonna get started in throwing like bigger soft swim baits, you're typically gonna throw something like a Mega Bass Mag Draft, like a freestyle, or the treble hook version that has a head harness in it. Those go 6, 8, and I believe 10 inches. But I wanted to kind of branch out again and do something a little different. And so I recently picked up a couple of these guys. These are the Dream Smashers. Dream Smasher makes a couple different versions. Like they have a flying, I think a bigger version, it's called a Flying V. But I still wanted to stick kind of in that 6, 7 inch range. So I picked up these guys. Now, these are considerably, although they're the same length, are considerably bigger than the Mag Drafts. It's a lot more of a mouthful, I guess, and they're considerably heavier. They weigh almost twice as much. But one thing I love about these is the nose design. So it has much more of a blunt nose. So if you're throwing into things like laydowns, into rock, things like that, these are going to deflect off of cover a lot better because there's not a pointed tip to get wedged into creases and V's and branches and things like that. So typically you could rig like a mag draft on 6, as far as the 6 inch freestyles, on a 6/0, maybe an 8/0 beast hook, versus these are going to ask for a 10/0 1/2 ounce owner beast hook. So you can see that that's going to fit perfectly. And what's even cooler about them is they come with, so there's kind of like a pre-molded slot there, so you don't have to go, this big hook doesn't have to penetrate all the way through all of this plastic. So along with that, you have a slit in the belly. So again, you're not going through it's about almost 2 inches thick of plastic. They have this wedge style tail, as opposed to the Mag Draft has kind of a thinner, if you can see how much more limp that Mag Draft tail is. This is going to have more of a wiggle with some body roll, versus the Mag Drafts kind of have not quite as much swing in the tail as like a Kitech, but definitely more of it. So while these are bigger, they're almost a bit more subtle. So I'm really looking forward to throwing these around this spring and really all through the year. So I got the holographic shad color, and I forget what color this is called, but I saw this and I instantly thought bluegill. So same style tail and everything, but it's got like almost a turquoise flake in it with some gold, and it's a green pumpkin body. So bluegill all day. I could see throwing this in beds, over weed beds, ledges, anything that has bluegill. I feel like this is going to be the money. So I wanted to pick up a couple of those. And also another cool thing about them is, so a lot of soft baits, at least bigger soft swim baits that have come out, are expensive. I recently picked up, they're not here yet, but I picked up some Working Class Zero Citizens, Citizen 7 inches, and those are like $45 for a pack of 2, which isn't that bad. But these are $30. Granted, they're 6 inch, but for $30 for a pack of 2, I definitely will take it. So I picked up 2 packs of those, some in each color. Last up in the lure categories that I want to talk about is this new company that I've been in touch with called Morph Lures. It's ran by a guy named Brent Wiley. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Brent, I talked with him on the phone. I found his Instagram a couple weeks ago, and I saw the design for this this spinny, like spin jig head, this spin head. right here. And when I saw this design, I was just like, that makes total sense, but that looks awesome, and I haven't seen anything like it. So basically what it is he has a patent on this type of jig head. And the reason for that is that he's designed this in a way where all you do, if you want to switch out the weight of the head, the size of the hook, this has a 5/0 on it right now. I put a 5/0 on here, and I believe it's like a 3/8 ounce head. So if I wanted to, say, move this down to a 4/0 hook, all I have to do, and he sells these extra rigging kits that you can get, and it's just basically this grip pin here, and all you do is slide it up under this O-ring, pop that O-ring off, slide it down the shank of the hook. These things have a double pronged wire keeper, by the way, so your bait's not going to come off. And all you do is remove the hook from the jig head. And so if I wanted to remove this swivel, say if I was fishing and they didn't want something with nearly as much flash, I just remove that barrel swivel and blade, slide that hook back into that head, slide the O-ring back on, up over those keepers, take this little grip pin, grab that O-ring, and slide it back up over the eye of the hook. And now you can switch up the size of your hook, the weight of the head, and with or without the blade. And what's so cool about that is it removes the necessity for all these different, and spending the money on all these different heads and hook sizes and whatnot, and you can get it done with just a couple of things. So when I got in contact with him, I placed an order because I wanted to try these out, and he sent me a lot of stuff. I mean, he sent me this, like half of it. And I couldn't be more thankful. Big shout out to you, Brent. I really appreciate it. Now, another cool thing that he has is not only did he do that with the swim bait heads, but he also has that same design in shaky heads. So, like your typical Buckeye, like spot remover jig heads, but with that slot in it. I mean, even on my finger it stands up, and it has that slot in it so that you can remove and change the weights, which, like I said, when I saw the design, I'm like, that's awesome. But I didn't want to just, when we started talking, we hit it off, but I didn't want to just say, yeah, like, let me just accept and tell people that this is an awesome thing. I wanted to try it. So I went out, and a couple of days ago, maybe almost a week ago now, and I just went fishing for a couple hours. And I just wanted to go test it out and see how it swam. Did it snag very much? Did it sit on the bottom well without rolling over, which it definitely does. It's got this cool head design where it's pointed to the end, so it's still going to come through grass and stuff really well. But it's also got kind of almost this flat bottom where it's still going to stand up and not roll over on you. So I definitely love that so far. I threw it around. I was fishing from the bank, so when you're bringing something uphill, it's going to have a tendency to get snagged. And there was a lot of rocks and some brush and stuff, and I didn't have a single problem in almost 3 hours of fishing. So thank you very much, Brent. I'm definitely going to be placing another order with you, and I really look forward to working together in the future, because this is a really awesome design, and I know he's put a good amount of time into working on this. He's an engineer, so I know that he's very analytical about the way things work, and if it makes sense, just getting from point A to point B and getting the most benefits out of that A to B movement, this is definitely a cool way to go. So thank you again, Brent. If you guys want to check him out, go to their Instagram at Morph Lures. This is the information. I don't know if that's going to be backwards, but if so, just pause the video. yeah, I'm super stoked to use those this spring, summer, fall. I mean, it's a swim bait. It's going to work anytime. So yeah, that about does it for the lure section of this. So I got one more thing that I want to go over with you guys, and that is the Megabass Levante Jerkbait Special. This is my first Megabass rod. I've got that paired up with a Daiwa Tatula SV103 in a 7-to-1 gear ratio. And actually, as soon as I got this rod, I spooled it up, took it to the lake, and I was able to stick about a 2-pound largemouth on it, and the rod handled it fantastically. I know that this is the first Megabass rod I've had, and it is just their introductory line, but it still is definitely a good quality bump over the typical $100 to $150 price range I stick to for the other rods that I have. So I'm really excited to use this rod, not only for jerk baits, but I'll probably throw some flat side crankbaits like we were talking about earlier in the video on it, because I feel like it has enough of that parabolic action to it. Also, if you want to save some money on these, I got both of these at the Tackle Trap, and my friend over at FoxFishing, he has discount codes on his videos for both Tackle Trap and Omnia Fishing, and he makes some pretty good videos too. So if you really like gear reviews and breakdowns and some great fish catches, make sure you go check out FoxFishing. With that, thank you guys very much for sticking with this video for this long. I know it's a little bit longer than even I intended, but I really do appreciate it, and I'm really excited to see where this goes for the 2022 season. I hope everyone has had a wonderful New Year's and Christmas, and I'm really excited to bring you guys along for this journey. So thank you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel at FoxFishing, and I will see you out on the water.